How do we refute the claims that prove the world to be millions of years old?
So there's a question I ask people. How old was Adam and Chava on the day they were created, on the sixth day of creation? And usually I hear different answers. Some say he was 1 day old, the day he was created. And I say no. He was 20 years old. He had a body of a 20-year-old. That's what's brought down in the Medrash. He was created as a 20-year-old. Then I asked the question again. So how old was Adam on the day he was created? And the answer is, he was 1 day old. Because he was only 1 day old. He was just created that day. So the same too is with the rest of the world. There's a famous question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And according to Torah, the world was created complete. And therefore the chicken was created. Later on came the egg. When one walks outside and one sees a tree, so how do we determine the age of a tree? They say if you cut the tree, you could count the rings to determine the age of the tree. So when the trees were created, during the 6 days of creation, if there's a large tree outside, and the tree looks like it's hundreds of years old, and if you actually cut the tree, you'll find hundreds of rings, how old is the tree? It's only 1 day old. Because Hashem created the world looking old. Hashem didn't want it to start from scratch. After the Mabul, the world started from scratch. Everything was mud. Everything needed to be created anew. But when Adam and Chava created, they were created complete in order they could right away focus on their mission. They weren't created as little babies. They created as complete 20-year-olds in order that they could begin their mission. So Hashem created a world looking very old. That's how it is. On the first day of creation, the trees looked hundreds of years old. Therefore, to say that we see in the earth that it looks millions of years old, if we assume that that science is correct, which I've heard from Professor Anoko, who's an expert in this field, he has doubts if the science is even accurate. It's assuming that the world aged based on their machines, how they assume it would age, but putting that on the side and assuming that it's all correct, just because you have an earth that looks millions of years old, or just because you find things in the earth, you can find dinosaur fossils, you can find whatever you want on the earth. Just because you find these things doesn't mean the world is old. It means it was created that way. One last example is if you buy a clock, usually when you plug in your digital clock, it begins at 12 o'clock. 12:00. Now if you set that clock to 11, it's 12 p.m. and you make it to 11 a.m. If someone walks in 5 minutes after you plug in the clock, they'll look at the clock and say, wow, was it here for 11 hours? The answer is no. You could set the clock of things. So yes, it's very possible that Hashem created this world looking old.